Welcome back to the Foreign Report, your weekly foreign policy show that gives you all the gory details of geopolitics with hopefully some laughs along the way. I'm Sina Gaznady, your foreign policy curious host, and with us is our co-host, comedian, director, Columbia Journalism School grad, Travis Irvine.
Woo! I'll believe that Columbia journalism stuff when I see it in my monthly bank statement.
Thank God.
Oh, yep, it's there.
Oh,
okay.
There we go.
Yeah, I definitely went there.
Yeah, you do. They want that money. Folks, big show today.
Ugh, darn it. I hate it when you say that because that means it's going to be heavy. But this is important. When the news is terrible, we make it bearable.
Okay, theforeignreportlpn@gmail.com. We have a newsletter. Here, look at the homepage.
Luckily for the
It
newsletter,
says everything is fine.
we just got to write and read.
I forgot. I haven't been to the homepage in a long time. You can subscribe to the newsletter there. But that tagline is great.
Everything is fine.
Everything is fine. When the news is terrible, we make it bearable, and everything is fine.
Yep.
I like it. I like the way that flows. So sign up there. We do a quick little bit every Monday, what we're watching. We're not doing the news for you, folks, okay? You get the New York Times. You get a bunch of actual news in your inbox. I throw like a movie review of Heads of State in there, not the Chris Rock one, or a fun Iranian short film that I saw that's animated. Stuff like that. And Travis, you'll see.
I usually write about Ohio.
And pictures of Travis's biceps.
Oh, yeah. That's a weekly feature now.
Boom.
TSA won't let me bring these on the plane.
I think we're going to get a spike. We should just put a bicep picture. If we're in the manosphere,
The manosphere.
we should probably get to the show.
It works for Rogan.
I am delaying starting to talk about this segment because it's about the Geneva Convention.
Right.
I was looking at this. You know, when you talk about what do you want to do for the show, you're like, oh, why don't we do the Geneva Convention? Seems like there's been a lot of, intersections happening. A lot of problems.
Right. Do you want to start with what is the Geneva Convention? Not saying I don't know, but
well, I mean, overall,
the people who don't know,
war. For people that don't know, there are rules.
There are rules.
You want to fight a war?
It's like the quote from Dr. Strangelove: "Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room." There are rules.
There are rules, and all these countries. Almost like 200 countries, 196 countries signed on to the Geneva Conventions. There's 4 of them.
Oh.
But these rules, they're made to protect civilians, aid workers, and journalists. Put a pin in that.
Right, I will.
Rules that have exceptions if you are actually a fighter and not a normal citizen. So they've thought about that.
Okay.
Rules that also hold war criminals accountable. So they've thought about that.
Okay. They haven't thought about, like, stopping wars, though, right?
Here's the thing, they
They're
haven't.
just like, if that happens, it's got to be rules.
Rules, but here's what they didn't really think about, is that if you just don't like the rules,
Yeah, what do
and
you
you're
do?
like, I'm not trying to do this.
Yeah, what do you do when
What do you
people
do?
don't give a shit about the rules? See, now I'm just quoting other movies. Big Lebowski. Am I the only one who gives a shit about the rules?
Exactly. What are we going to do? Well, apparently nothing.
Okay.
A lot of angry emails, a lot of...
You're talking about Geneva doesn't have any flex power?
Yeah.
They don't have some of these?
Well, there is flex. They're like a low rep, high weight.
Which is what I do.
No, you do high reps, low weight.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. I'm like Geneva.
There are 4 Geneva Conventions for people that don't know. They happened in 1864. We don't need to go into this guy, but this big activist and businessman, this very wealthy guy, saw all the carnage happening after seeing war happened. And
Sure.
He's like, we need to get this thing together. So the first Geneva Convention, 1864, it was about the wounded and the sick on land. You don't mess with them, protect them. The second one, 1906, about the wounded and sick at sea. And this is very high-level stuff here, folks. Don't at me. The third one, 1929, is about POW protections mainly.
Prisoner of war.
Prisoner of war, right? And the fourth one, after 1949, more about civilian protections.
Wow. So they got to the least important one last? I mean, good grief.
There is a thing that's mainly, so the 4 conventions, and by the way, every time, like in 1949, all 196 people that signed on to the Geneva Convention, they signed on to all 4 Geneva Conventions.
Okay.
So it's all inclusive.
That's nice.
It's an all-inclusive resort of rules you have to follow so that we avoid ethnic cleansing, genocide, war crimes, etc., etc.,
goodness.
etc. So we have the main thrust of these 4 conventions, though, is state versus state, which I found interesting. And so they don't really cover non-state actors versus a state, except there's this Article 3 in the Geneva Conventions. They call it the Common Article 3 because it's the exact same language in all 3 or all 4 conventions. So they always had stuff that protected non-state actors, and that's humane treatment. All persons not actively fighting, including captured fighters, civilians, and the wounded, must be treated humanely without discrimination. Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Prohibited acts. No murder, torture, mutilation, hostage-taking, humiliating treatment, or executions without a fair trial. Okay.
Nice in theory, but...
Sure. And this is paraphrasing, by the way. Care for the wounded. All sick and injured must be collected and cared for. Humanitarian organizations may offer aid.
You'd hope that one would be true.
You'd think this would hold. The international community, though, has always viewed this Common Article 3 as the bare minimum, as a very minimal standard. But then, after 1949, things start happening in the 50s through the 80s. And this is what I find really interesting, is that people in this time period were like, wow, World War II, awful. Glad we got through that.
Right. That'll never happen again.
Yes, never again. But then, this is when it comes to like the state versus state. You had colonial uprisings around the world.
Yes.
And the Algerian War happened where Algeria gained independence from France. The Mau Mau Uprising, which gave way to independence for Kenya. France got defeated in Vietnam. Portugal had more than a decade of wars in Africa. They got out of there. Then you had Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, and Angola that gained independence from that. Cyprus gained independence from Britain, and there are more. The committee of the Red Cross is the one that kind of like is the executive producer of the Geneva Conventions, if you will.
Okay.
And so around that same time in the early 70s, you also had the Yom Kippur War.
Ooh.
Which was between Israel, Syria, and Egypt. But as we know, after the Nakba and everything that happened, and the Palestinians were still there, and they were starting to develop guerrilla warfare tactics as part of the Yom Kippur War. But that was both state versus state and non-state actors, or what someone would call internal people. Now, it's important to note that in these colonial uprisings, all these countries were saying, this isn't part of the Geneva Convention. We are doing this because these are internal rebellions we're quelling. So the Geneva Conventions don't apply.
Interesting. To civil wars, colonial uprisings.
Exactly. Those are
internal conflicts.
Those are that's our family business. That's our dirty laundry.
Right. Okay. So it's like a corporate internal investigation. We're handling it.
Exactly. Okay. By killing a bunch of civilians.
Okay, great.
But
okay.
I knew this.
I'm trying not to smash my own laptop.
So they had these additional protocols. So the Red Cross Committee came together and said, we got to do something about these internal conflicts. These are not internal conflicts. These are not just police matters, if you will.
Right.
And so that's when they, in the early 70s, came together for the Additional Protocol 1 and Additional Protocol 2. Really catchy names. They didn't really do anything cool about them. In the first Additional Protocol, these colonial uprisings were now called international conflicts because these colonial, these people that were colonized were acting in a way where they were asserting their rights as a state.
Right.
And you could see that clearly happened by these these people that were colonized becoming states afterwards.
Yeah.
The second one, though, is what's really critical. You can be awful to people, but you can't be that awful to the people within your own country. War is awful, but there are rules. Okay. And there are now rules for how you treat internal uprisings.
All right.
Civilians and civilian objects cannot be targeted.
Seems hard, but okay.
Attacks must be distinguished between civilians and combatants.
Again, you'd hope that would happen.
Prohibits acts of terrorism, collective punishment, emphasis on collective punishment, and starvation, emphasis there, of civilians as a method of warfare.
Good.
Person who are out there to fight The wounded, sick, and detained or surrendered must be treated humanely.
Okay.
No torture, cruel treatment, or humiliating, degrading treatment. Okay, we covered that. Civilian property infrastructure, so we got to protect cultural objects, places of worship, hospitals, medical units from attack. Okay, displacement, forced displacement of civilians. If anyone's getting a pattern here,
Is anybody, I think I'm picking up what you're laying
hit the
down.
like and subscribe button.
Right.
Forced displacement of civilians prohibited unless necessary for safety and imperative for military reasons. Okay, humanitarian relief requires allowing impartial humanitarian organizations to offer aid. Wow. It's just, I mean...
Common sense things.
It's keep on coming. And judicial guarantees no sentencing without a fair trial, prohibits arbitrary exceptions. Do you know which two countries did not ratify the second protocol?
Oh, darn it. I bet you're going to tell me.
Israel and the United States.
Oh, man.
So the United States and Israel did not ratify. You could sign and not ratify. That doesn't, at the end of the day, you're not ratifying it at the end of the day.
As a lawyer, what does that mean?
It means you didn't really go through the entire process. Signing it is one thing.
Okay.
But you ratify it, that means you take it back to your country and the country approves of it through your local political bodies, which is mean you get the buy-in of your country.
Okay.
You could just be some guy that signed a thing.
So it's like when I e-sign a contract as opposed to actually reading it.
I would say, yeah, but it'd be more like if I signed for my wife and I, and then I brought it home, and she was like, what the fuck is this?
Okay. Cool.
What did you do?
Right.
So it's not just the United States and Israel. India, Pakistan, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Syria did not sign AP2 as well. And the big reason is that what it does is it creates more credibility, or gives them a higher status, gives the uprising power a higher status, and they don't want that. Especially if they are viewed as a colonial power, they're viewed all of a sudden as almost a de facto state. And Israel doesn't want that. The United States didn't want that. The United States has now signed and ratified AP1 through George H.W. Bush, but AP2 we have not done, which is really interesting. And like I said, so Israel doesn't sign on to AP2, but there still is that basic level of human decency from Common Article 3 that you need to use when you're in war.
Okay.
You can't be doing crazy stuff, but there are legal loopholes, as they were. And again, we're talking about the legal stuff here. We're not talking about the human experience of viewing something and experiencing something. I want to just, again, talking to everyone like they're adults.
Right.
Okay? Okay? Separate these two things out. And Israel doesn't sign because the new provisions would give far too many protections to Palestinians and any groups like the PLO at that time. Yeah, and exactly. So here's a clip from Democracy Now! It's a little long. It's about a minute, so we'll see you on the other side there.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Global condemnation is mounting over Israel's assassination of one of the most prominent journalists in Gaza, the Al Jazeera correspondent Anas al-Sharif, along with 4 of his colleagues at the network and another freelance journalist. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is calling for an independent investigation after the 5 journalists were killed in a targeted Israeli strike outside Al-Shifa Hospital in a tent clearly marked in Gaza City. European Union officials and international press freedom groups have also denounced the assassinations. The 6th journalist, freelance reporter Mohammed Al-Khaldi, was also killed in the same strike. Minutes before the strike, Al-Sharif posted to X, quote, "If this madness does not end, Gaza will be reduced to ruins, its people's voices silenced, their faces erased, and history will remember you as silent witnesses to a genocide you chose not to stop," unquote.
So that was the last thing he posted before he was assassinated. And they killed the whole camera crew. They assassinated the whole crew and a reporter. And so this is, there have been nearly 200 journalists. I've heard numbers higher than that, though, but at least what I've read is about around 200 killed by Israel, and that's more than both world wars, the Civil War, Afghanistan, Yugoslavia, Korea, Vietnam, all combined.
Whoa. That's insane.
Here's how Israel is using the legal exceptions. They are saying that Anas al-Sharif was part of Hamas, he was working with Hamas, that he was not just a journalist, a civilian journalist, that he was an operative with Hamas, part of like the information warfare.
Right, just like all the aid workers are with Hamas, all the food coming in is with Hamas.
Cindy McCain
is with Hamas.
And so this is what they're saying, and it's difficult because there are rules when it comes to that, and so they're trying to rationalize this. And I guess the problem that I have as well here is whether or not he actually is in Hamas.
Which he's probably not, but
whether or not he is, could someone tell me what the rubric is for being in Hamas?
right.
Is it I support Palestinian self-determination, or I'm against the occupation, or is it actually collusion?
Right.
Is it operationally being a part of it? What is defining someone being in Hamas? And Israel is also saying there was a lot of information manipulation and information warfare basically happening, and he was part of that. My thing is, if you're worried about the information and information being manipulated, then sunlight is the best cure for that.
Sure.
Bring in all the international media. Let them all be there.
Right.
And if you don't want to let all the international media people in there, just bring in Fox News even. I'd love to see Peter Doocy
Oh, boy.
with a helmet and a flap jacket looking around. It's pretty bad out here.
Yeah, right?
I can't. There's not a Jersey Mike's within 1,000 clicks.
That gig's not cushy enough for the son of another Fox News host.
And oddly enough, Travis, this is coming right before Israel and Bibi are about to do their conquest, quote unquote, of Gaza.
No.
And they killed one of the top journalists that'll be covering it.
Man, this is brutal.
Brutal! This is why we're talking about the Geneva Convention, because there are clear rules against doing stuff like this. But Israel is saying, they will say in court, because this is all going to be part of their ICJ case and their ICC case, and all of these things are going to be part of this, that they're going to try to present evidence that says he was in Hamas, he was not a civilian, or that we didn't sign AP2, or we didn't ratify AP2, so we're not beholden to that international law. So this is what I want people to, when you see stuff in the news, I want you to know this is the rationale that they're using to commit these acts. So even before the journalists told that was happening, here's a quick list from international bodies of what alleged Geneva Conventions have been violated. Civilian casualties and infrastructure damage.
Oh, big time.
Blockade and starvation allegations. Again,
Big time.
no Jersey Mikes within 3 countries over there. Settlements. Attack the settlements, by the way. We haven't even talked about the settlements in the West Bank. Blow my mind. I need to get someone on here to talk about these settlements, because I don't understand how we're not all just, they are blanketly saying we're just taking your house, man.
Right, they're just moving in already.
They're moving in.
It's like squatting.
It's the worst Airbnb squatting possible, except their houses were never up for rent.
Right.
Attacks on civilian sites, attacks on journalists. There's ICC investigations. There's arrest warrants for senior officials. Non-compliance, of course, with the ICJ orders as well. So these are all the UN and have issued all of these warnings. And there's a whole list of Geneva Convention violations that are just racking up right now. And let's just say, again, in a perfect world, they are able to avoid legal ramifications in the international community from everything that's been happening here. You still lost the human war.
Yeah.
Your humanity's gone. You're going to be a pariah state.
The moral war, the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, this is crazy. It's like, I think we've covered this, but like, does Israel just not care anymore if they've turned, again, everyone's public opinion against them? And by Israel, I do mean Netanyahu and his far right wing.
Well, the country itself, I mean, people think what they think. They want the people that are POWs and hostages, they want them to be brought back home. This has been an ongoing conflict, for 70 years, and like they have a viewpoint on it, and it's not the one that helps the Palestinians at all. And I get that. All right.
Gotcha.
But what I think Bibi's plan is, and his cabinet's plan, or the government's plan, is that if they get this done, this will be like the Trail of Tears in America. Eventually, it'll be a box in a textbook that people will eventually get beyond. The problem is, the Trail of Tears didn't have hundreds of thousands of hours of photo and video evidence of the carnage.
Right.
And so this is where I'm at. It really messed me up. I didn't want to go through this, but I think what grounded me again was talking about the Geneva Convention, grounding it in like the rules and how they're flagrantly going against them and ignoring them. And this is where we're at.
Sure. And you don't think any repercussions beyond what you were saying, the international court?
Oh, I think they're going to lose these cases.
Okay.
I think they're
on the legal front.
On the legal front, they're going to lose these cases. It just seems so crazy that they would win. The amount of evidence is unreal, but it'll take a very long time, and that's the problem. While that legal process is happening, we have the human experience that we have to deal with.
Right.
And that's like a separate thing that we've talked about on this show, but the thing I like about the law is that the people, when they do it the right way, they reflect what the human experience is and try to codify that. The problem is, if we all don't agree to that this is the experience that we want codified and that we want to follow that so that we don't become brutal,
right,
then it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Then we kind of lost.
Because if Israel doesn't want to follow it, then Russia won't want to follow it. Then China won't want to follow it.
And my whole thing, too, is if Palestine was a state, they would be in a different category, and they would have to follow rules as well.
And that's your articles and
I think that is what creates a lot of these problems. But again, people aren't following the rules, so what do I know? I'm just a guy.
There's no rules. This is war, Peacock.
Well,
now I'm quoting Clue for anyone who doesn't know.
Oh, yeah.
It all just comes back to movies for me. This is war, Peacock. You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. Every cook will tell you that.
I think this was one of the funniest segments we've had.
I'm so sad. I'm so I remember you were holding back tears last week talking about Gaza. I'm holding back tears for my journalists.
Oh God!
I mean, we have to talk about these
bad.
things so we're aware of them. But if they start killing the journalists and the people who do talk about these things,
I don't understand.
Just
let everybody. I want to see Peter Ducey in there. Just let him in there.
Who's that guy from MSNBC who loved to go into Ukraine? Malcolm Nance?
Send him over there. Send him over there.
Give me Jake Tapper.
Send everybody over there.
Send Rupert Murdoch.
Take Joe Rogan's studio and put it in Gaza City.
Yeah. There you go.
And let's have him report on what's going on.
Then the manosphere will finally be aware of what's happening.
We'll get a guest spot. It'll be great.
Well, the news is terrible. We'll try to make it bearable.
Are we making it bearable? Let us know in the comments. Man, that's, God. You know, it's also weird. Like, we're going to take a break now, but, I'm typing this up, and, like, my 4-year-old comes in and goes, Dada, what are you doing? I'm like, son, do you know about the Geneva Conventions, son? He goes, show me the picture of the funny faces. And I have this, like, little puppet game that I show. This is such a weird time. Anyways, the foreignreportlpn@gmail.com. Send us a comment. I appreciate all the feedback people have been giving us and stuff like that. It's really good. For Travis Irvine, I'm Sina Gazavi. This is The Foreign Report. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to The Foreign Report. I'm Sina Gazavi. Travis Irvine.
Hello.
Wow. I feel like I feel so cleansed after that segment.
I wouldn't use that word right now.
Oh, God.
It's almost like a cold plunge. Cena and I did cold plunges with our friend Grant Gordon over the weekend, and it's a very sobering reality. If you don't get your breathing under control, it's very hard to accept the reality of how cold you are.
You're right. And you know what? I think for this segment, I'm going to take a nap after that. Just going to take a nap. You go ahead. You have the calm. You have the calm.
Oh, God. Well, in the B block, what Cena wanted us to talk about was something much more lighter, and that's light fascism at home. Cena, wake up. I can't handle it.
What?
I'll talk about JD later. This is all just so intense, but
What in the list of distractions
yeah.
that
And
President Trump
And the
is
Epstein
doing,
fallout.
it is incredible. Trump has promised, quote, historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse.
So he's going to arrest himself. Great.
Unbelievable. He's sent the National Guard there.
Man, he loves sending the National Guard to cities run by Democrats, but not the Capitol when it's under attack by people waving his own flags. I'm sure people have made that point, but this is bonkers as well.
The major crime rates in D.C. are double-digit decline right now.
Yeah, they're like historic lows.
The problem, though, is that President Trump hears about things that happen. Like that Doge employee, Big Balls,
Big balls. Everyone loves
got beat
big
up,
balls.
and he got beat up pretty bad.
What happened to his big balls?
There was like a carjacking. He tried to help or something, and he got beat up.
Okay.
And then there's, quality of life things that are happening, small things, but things that pearl clutch the president.
Sure.
And I don't think he likes seeing the unhoused people around.
Which it's like, well,
It's like, welcome
you can.
to D.C.,
There's
buddy.
a way to fix that too,
Yeah.
sir.
Those are social problems.
Yeah.
Like the small crime stuff, quality of life, it's a social problem. And it's almost like we have someone at the top that is supposed to solve the social problems of society, and that's the president. You can do that through economic policy.
Yeah, you can shove it in your big, beautiful bill.
Yeah. So D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is now in a very uncomfortable position of walking a fine line between appeasing Trump so he doesn't do anything totally bonkers. He has 30 days because of the relationship that D.C. has with the federal government. And he, of course, invokes an emergency rule. That's the other thing here. Everything Trump does, it's an emergency. It is an emergency. This man does not know how to do regular-ass stuff, just emergencies.
Right.
And hopefully it doesn't erupt into something ugly. I've seen videos of, like, these National Guard guys just going around talking to people.
Sure.
Pam Bondi, by the way, is in charge of all the law enforcement there. So D.C. Mayor and Pam Bondi have been okay so far. But in a live town hall later that evening, Mayor Bowser called the move by Trump an authoritarian push and said, quote, "We are not 700,000 scumbags and punks. We don't have neighborhoods that should be bulldozed. We have to be clear about our story, who we are, and what we want for our city." What do you think about this? Like, he's going, and he sent National Guard troops
He did L.A.
to L.A.
Yeah. It declared an emergency.
He could do this to other cities. Do you think he's going to do that? Do you think?
I think that's the precedent, right?
I think so.
That's the thing that I think he's setting himself up to do, is that I have the authority to go into Democrat cities and enforce what he considers law and order. Even though, again, like you said, historic lows in DC crime, and you're literally just, Elon tweeted about it. And Elon and Trump, who have been on, not great terms lately, especially considering all the Epstein stuff, because this was one of Epstein, Freudian slip.
Hello, Freud.
Because this was one of Elon's boys, Big Balls, Elon actually tweeted about it and got it on Trump's radar again. So
Can't believe
that's
we have to keep saying this name.
Elon or Epstein?
Big Balls.
I want to see Big Balls list. His
I like
client
how you
list.
went Elon, Epstein, and...
Yeah, Big Balls. He's a good guy.
Oh, man.
So yeah, what is the precedent? I mean, legally, from a legal standpoint, what is this?
Well, I think
set up?
What I think about precedent aside, it's not really a precedent that he could do it again. He could just invoke the emergency powers wherever he wants. This is different because he has 30 days to do his whole thing, and I think specifically there's the next 7 days he's allowed to have a certain number of federal troops. But I think more broadly is the next president that comes in, are they going to try to roll back these powers? And I don't know.
Right.
If you're even a Democrat that gets into office, are you going to do this? No.
Right.
I don't think you're going to roll back this thing. This is like a fundamental thing where Trump is showing us the limits of the executive branch's authority.
Sure.
And how much they can put pressure, break the Constitution,
Right.
tear it up, do whatever you want. And then I'll just wait for you to tell me I'm wrong later.
Right. Or he'll sue you. And then
Sue you for $1 billion.
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you know, I've worked in DC. I worked on Capitol Hill way back in 2008, and it was on the up and up.
I do have a little story about some quality of life thing that happened to me when I went to GW for a year and a half, freshman year.
That's right.
And I was on a internship, like going into the community and going to a garden as a freshman. Little 18-year-old Cena.
Wow, fresh out of Pittsburgh.
Fresh out of Pittsburgh. Love the big city.
Love a big city.
Love an international city.
DC's so international.
And we're at this garden in Southeast DC in Anacostia. And so in 2002, it was a little rough. I didn't really clock it. I'm a 18-year-old kid. I'm just like, this is fun.
This is off the Green Line?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That checks out.
And we do the day. It's very fun. We, in the community garden and stuff like that. I'm walking back and I see this dude in what we used to call a wife beater, but it's called a tank top, I realized.
Yes.
It's called a tank top.
That's a better term.
I didn't think that... It is a better term.
For a shirt?
For a shirt.
Yeah, call it that.
It's kind of weird that it was very normal to just call it a beater.
Ugh. Yeah, I get it.
It's weird.
It is weird, yes.
And then when someone said, like, it's a tank top, I was like, that is true. Anyways, a nice young man was in a tank top, a white tank top.
Okay.
And he, like, had he smiled at me when I walked by. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I smiled back, right? And then I'm like a little farther down, I hear a pop, 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 pop.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I like start running. I'm scared. I feel something on my back, right? And I put my hand up to my face to see what it is. And it's white paint.
You got paintball?
I got paintballed.
Wow.
And I couldn't stop. I was yelling, but also laughing. I started cracking up because I was like, oh my God, this guy saw a bunch of like, the fancy private college kids coming to his neighborhood to go, whatever, white savior adjacent his community garden.
Yeah.
And let's mess with them.
Wow. And it worked.
Well, it definitely worked.
That's why they don't call you big balls, they call you paintballs.
They call me paintballs.
That's who you dealt with that day.
But I felt more connected to the city after that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I could say I was shot in Southeast DC.
And I definitely, Georgia Petworth, I had a buddy live there. I used to stay there all the time when I would visit DC. It's like any big city. You just got to know where to go and where not to go and when to not go there.
Yeah.
At a certain time of night. I feel that's the big city anywhere. So I don't know. If Trump wants to finally mobilize the National Guard, despite, and I'm not the first person to point this out, but the biggest day of crime in Washington, D.C. in recent memory.
Oh, it's January 6th.
Yeah. But it's like, we're at the National Guard. I don't know where they are. I don't have their number, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know the National Guard.
That's so ridiculous.
So, yeah. Not great, but also not unusual in this time with the Trump administration.
We got another story here where Trump has told the military to go after cartels in Latin America.
Sure, why not?
I find this super interesting. One, we covered the war on drugs on our last season of Fraudsters. And frankly, this is like famously the anti-war president has authorized the military to go to war. Oh. It's a war on drugs. It's a war on the cartels.
That's right. He ran on, I never started a war, but now he's starting
a war.
Okay.
And it's, again, this is technically a non-state actor. So you can imagine the loopholes to the Geneva Convention that are probably going to be used in the course of this war. But the move came as a surprise to Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, who rejected the idea of a U.S. invasion, quote, saying, "The United States is not going to come to Mexico with the military. We cooperate, we collaborate, but there is not going to be an invasion. That is ruled out, absolutely ruled out." Mexico, however, did send 26 alleged drug traffickers to the U.S. in an attempt to appease Trump. So they are snatching them up. But here's the problem with going after the cartels.
Yeah, with the military, please.
It's not that they have the money of the country they're in. They have an entire global economy amount of money
Right.
to use to fight back the United States and the guys they send.
Right.
They don't send the full military. They're going to send some guys.
Yeah.
They're going to send some like platoons. I don't know what unit size they're going to send, but it's not going to be like a surge in Afghanistan. But they are going to go up against people that have like the GDP the size of a large country with a global network that has almost infinite resources to use.
Ugh. Right.
So like you're just going to get in another quagmire like this.
Right.
And one of the things we talked about on Fraudsters was this supply side attack on cartels only backfires. It only takes more money out of the pockets of American taxpayers.
Right.
It creates more dysfunction in those local areas where the military strikes are happening.
Correct.
Instead, we could be focusing on the demand side here in the United States.
Because where there is demand, there is supply.
Exactly. If we had more rehabilitation centers, if we had more laws that helped people come out of the shadows, or if we had more compassionate care centers that allowed safer experiences, people can get through addiction and people can get through these things naturally and with the help of a physician or a caretaker. This is not the solution. We've been trying the war on drugs for almost 100 years, actually.
Decades.
To go back to Harry Anslinger, it's still going on.
Right. Right. And if you go back to Prohibition of the 1920s, I was actually reading an interesting history about that recently. It failed fantastically.
Yes.
It led to the rise of the modern mafias of the 1920s. And like you were saying, built out because they had the supply for the demand that was already existing.
And Harry Anslinger was this guy who was a former Prohibition officer, then became head of kind of the anti-marijuana approach, and that's because they needed a new boogeyman. And this is what started the whole war on drugs all the way back in the post-Prohibition era.
Right. And you think you'd learn, because in 1933, that was finally the year that the federal government officially, they had to undo a whole constitutional amendment.
Yeah.
So there's like a constitutional amendment that made prohibition the law of the land, and then they had to do another constitutional amendment to undo the constitutional amendment. Yeah. But 1933 was when Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the federal government was just like, we want the tax revenue from these alcohol sales, because otherwise it just goes to the black market. And now you're seeing that with the legalization of cannabis in so many states. We're almost half states in America with medical or legal for adults. And you can see it's killing the cartels market. That was their moneymaker for a long time. Now they're, I don't even know what kind of drugs they're selling now, but there is a libertarian theory of just legalizing all drugs and then regulating them all.
I saw, even in The Economist as well.
So, and I believe not this current president of Mexico, but a former president of Mexico has said as much too. He's like, if we actually just legalized everything across the board, made it regulated, that would kill the cartels entirely. That would kill their supply.
It would kill their supply. I think salvia should be
and
illegal.
Lower the demand.
Salvia should be the only one that's illegal.
Salvia? Man.
I had a weird night one time.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about myself.
So strange.
I felt I was being pulled, gravitational pull towards the center of the earth.
With like chains or whatever?
Yeah.
Who wants that?
Nobody wants that.
This is so
but
weird.
But maybe that's what makes it good is after you do it once, you never want to do it again.
Never again.
That'll get any addict. They're like, no one's getting addicted to that.
Terrible.
That's the only one that should be legal then.
And it was like, it was like legal to get it like a bodega. It wasn't like a...
I don't want to throw my friend Nigel under the bus, but I remember Nigel getting up and running. You're like, I don't want to feel like this. And I just sat there because I was like, I can't move.
So crazy. Well, right. I'm glad we agree on that.
We agree, and then we finally solved at least one problem today.
Yeah, we did.
Salvia, the only drug that should be legal. Because no one wants it.
No one wants it. Yeah, so this is going to be a mess. And so anyone that thought this president was going to keep us out of war, well, there you have it. He's
It's almost like he never was Law and Order.
Yeah.
It's almost like he was just getting out of his own legal troubles
And
everywhere.
by the way, every president, Democrat or Republican, has done this. They love
I'm aware.
this is like
1984
red meat.
crime bill.
Oh, God.
We're still living with the ramifications.
Great
of that.
Fraudsters episode on the Super Predator that we did
Absolutely.
from last season. Check it
Absolutely.
out. All right. Let's take a quick break and we come back to a little J.D. Vance corner.
Oh, God, I need something to laugh at or just looking at his dumb face. South Park did an episode finally with little J.D. I have very few things that bring me joy.
Yeah.
Let's hit this J.D. segment coming up next.
Let's do it. I'm Cena Gadsby for Travis Irvine. We'll be right back after this. This is The Ford Report. Welcome back to The Ford Report. I'm Cena Gadsby, Travis Irvine. We were just talking about how sad this episode is.
We're sorry. We tried.
Are we making it bearable?
I tried. Wait, hold. Say something about the World Health Organization.
The World Health Organization.
Who? What am I, an owl? There you go.
The World Health Organization.
Who?
The
What am
World
I?
Health Organization.
Who? What am I, an owl? There you go. That's at least one joke
Thank you.
that I made last week.
There we
that we're
go.
bringing back
Bring it back.
this week. It's called a callback in comedy.
It's a comfort joke.
Yeah. So, speaking of comfort jokes,
Yeah, lay it on me.
let's hit our weekly.
It's the J.D. Vance corner.
Every week, he's such a geek. It's J.D. Vance. I have three things I wanted to highlight.
Okay.
They're all dumb. I mean, we're talking about journalists. We might as well
We
talk.
need dumb today.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, J.D. Vance is so dumb. This is the dumbest timeline this man even ascended to the vice presidency. But we were talking about journalists, and real quick, J.D. Vance actually, he held a event back home in my home state of Ohio, where he is also from, and a reporter from the Cincinnati Enquirer. This never happens usually, especially for American political events. She
Okay.
had her entire reporting notebook gone through, searched by the Secret Service as she was going in to the event to cover J.D.
Whoa.
Vance. I know. And this was covered from our friends over at Press Freedom Tracker because they, have the fun job of keeping track of when U.S. journalists in this country are inconvenienced or even targeted by our government. So upon the arrival of Erin Glenn, a reporter with the Cincinnati Enquirer, she was covering the Ohio Republican Party fundraising dinner in which J.D. Vance was a headline speaker. This is in the town of Lima, Ohio. Wow, love a lima bean. Two Secret Service agents, according to Erin Glenn, searched her bag like they did with everybody, but then they confiscated, some nail clippers that she had. They were too pointy. She was like, that makes sense.
Sure.
Very Ohio reporter, just like, oh, yeah, take those. But then they pulled out her reporter's notebook and really spent a long time on it, flipping through the pages and reading and passing it back and forth to each other for about 5 minutes.
Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what could possibly be in there, unless there's literally sketches that she's submitting to South Park of little J.D. Vance
Yeah, I
with the
think
fat
so.
face.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Then, but she said, look, I'm a local government reporter. I didn't know if they were reading it to see if I had written anything about Vance, but I don't normally cover him. So as she was getting annoyed, she actually told them, and I do appreciate this, reporter piece of humor, you should buy a subscription to the Enquirer. So there you go. But yeah, it was not normal. She told her editor about it, and that's why her editor told her to submit it to Press Freedom Tracker. Why do you think, Cena, Secret Service agents would possibly want to stop a reporter from doing their job at a J.D. Vance
Well, now it's
function?
we're thought police. They're thought police now.
And
Because they are policing intent.
And kind of like what you were saying with Trump, they're kind of inching a little bit, encroaching a little bit more.
Right, because the levers of authoritarianism, as you get there, competitive authoritarianism, if you will, is like, you don't silence the journalists, you just intimidate them.
Oh, okay. And this
They're not
is a
going to
form
keep her
of
from
that.
writing a story, but you'll take her notebook,
Right, and take her clippers.
take her nail clippers.
You don't want them to have...
Man, I could just see one of those guys like, I got these great nail clippers today.
Right, they just keep it for themselves. I always wonder that with TSA. Anytime they take something, they're just going to use that. Well, anyway, so that's a little bit lighter on J.D. Vance, but this is the one that actually really irks me.
Yeah.
I just had a birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I have the same birthday as J.D. Vance, August
you do.
2nd.
You do.
You
had
know,
a lot of activities.
Yeah, I like to do dinner with my friends.
Yep.
I went to Vegas, hung out with my brother. We went to some concerts, hung out with the family, went to a Dodgers game.
Amazing.
Normal baseball stuff. You know what I've never done on my birthday?
What?
Had the U.S. government change the water levels in an entire lake.
Well, you're missing out.
What the hell is this? From our friends over at The Guardian, J.D. Vance's team had a water level of an Ohio River raised for his family's boating trip. The river goes into the lake and adjusts the water supply. So this comes from The Guardian. The Secret Service apparently says they requested from, and this is what makes it egregious, all right? And let's see if you can see why this is egregious. The Army Corps of Engineers had to take the unusual step of changing the outflow of a lake in Ohio to accommodate a recent boating excursion for J.D. Vance's family while he was on holiday for his birthday, August 2nd this year. Fell on a Saturday, so lots of fun things to do. He chose to hit a nearby lake by where he grew up in southwestern Ohio on the outing of the Little Miami River. And according to a statement by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, they had to support safe navigation for the vice president's security detail, which meant changing the entire flow of river. Now, to be fair, this is not unusual. They do have to do this if there's a lot of other public activity in the river or the lake. But because the Secret Service was there with J.D. Vance, there was no other public activity.
Oh my
This is
God.
a private party on a lake, and they use public resources, sir, from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and the Army Corps of Engineers to make this happen. And this is why it's so egregious, not just because it's J.D. Vance and he sucks, but they were cutting funding for all of these departments. These are the departments they just, with the big beautiful bill that J.D. Vance was the deciding vote on in a 50-50 vote in the Senate, and J.D. had to come in and break the tie. They're cutting funds to the very, the parks, the Corps of Engineers, everybody, all the science that our federal government tends to fund. That's who had to do JD's bidding, or the people that he's...
Hold on. The Geneva Convention speaks to this. Hold on.
Go on. Please, tie it all together for me.
Yo, it's crazy. These are, first of all, civilian infrastructures. There's no shame.
Yeah.
As a kid who, I run on shame.
Yeah.
That is the fuel that keeps me going.
That's pretty cool.
These people have none of it, which is so freeing in a way, but so destructive.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing about J.D. Vance, right? He's smart. When we play his clips, I get so upset because he is smart at talking, but he's just spewing pure lies. And again, this is why it's so egregious. Vance is receiving these particular accommodations for his family when the administration's cuts have led to drastic National Park Service, reduction of staff. They've lost a quarter of their staff just since January this year. And now, and I know just, again, on a more domestic front in my home state of Ohio, the Republicans who run the state of Ohio are also cutting funding to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. So this is what makes it so egregious. And even Norm Eisen, a former White House special counsel for ethics and government reform, that when he worked in President Obama's ethics department as the ethics czar, he said, "I got a lot of unusual requests, but I never got one to increase the outflow of a waterway as part of a government official going kayaking." He said, my nickname was Mr. No, and certainly would have lived up to it in this situation. Never would you permit the kind of thing from happening, whether it technically violates the rules or not. It creates the appearance that the Vice President of the United States is getting special treatment, and that's not available to the average person who wants to utilize that body of water for recreational purposes. While there may well be security-related explanations or justifications that come into the analysis, his reaction from Mr. No, I don't care. We shouldn't be utilizing government resources in this way. I would have never allowed it to happen, end quote.
The crazy thing is that J.D. Vance could read that and say, well,
I'll just fire that guy.
I just fire that guy, or this is the new way the president and the vice president get to operate. Mm-hmm. We are special. We are the special ones.
We are special.
So that special rules get to apply.
We're firing all of you, and if you don't do our bidding, you'll just get fired too.
Yeah.
Right. Well, speaking of getting fired, this is my last JD story to really tie it all together.
Oh, God.
This came from CBS News, and this is where, the South Park stuff, all this news, it really ties it all together for me because, we always talk about JD is going to be the heir apparent of the MAGA movement in 2028. But even Donald Trump, the father, the grandfather, the uncle, the drunk uncle of the MAGA movement.
Creepy uncle.
All of it. He says that Vance is most likely the heir apparent.
Oh.
Not even giving JD the affirmation of definitely. President Trump said Tuesday.
Because he can't stand JD.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what you wonder. It's like, is Trump playing JD or is JD playing Trump?
No, Trump is playing JD because Trump got all this money from Peter Thiel.
Right.
And you could even tell.
And Peter Thiel is kind of running everything.
Trump sees these media clips of all these guys are like, I had drinks with J.D. Vance several years, before he announced that he was going to be, running with President Trump. And J.D. said, Trump is Hitler. Trump is awful. Trump is the worst. Well, let's cheers to how terrible Trump is. There's so many of these people coming out and saying, yeah, this is what JD thought. Now, complete opposite. Trump clocks that. He knows JD is full of it, that he is absolute charlatan. And he's like,
sycophant.
I'm the king. I'm the king.
Right. And that's the thing.
And I'll choose.
Right. And also Trump constantly hints at maybe I'll run for a third term.
Sure.
Maybe he doesn't hand over the MAGA movement to
Which, by the way,
anybody.
I'm coming around to more that he may try to do this. Because he's building this war chest. He's got all this money.
Right. The family apparently has made like $3.4 billion.
But also he's fundraising politically. And so,
which is weird
yes,
for a guy who doesn't have to run anymore.
Exactly. So he's going to apply that pressure on the midterms. And he could make a ballot initiative. He could do a lot to gum up the works for the next guy.
Right.
Because he doesn't like JD. And he's not, he can't really stand to benefit from Peter Thiel anymore. He got his nut from Peter Thiel already.
Right.
And so what does he care? What is the thing? Unless there's some sort of like leverage that someone has on Trump. But at this point, he's kind of given the business community what they wanted.
Yes.
With this bill.
With the big, beautiful bill.
And the only thing he could do is just not investigate. I mean, Paramount sale went through. All these things have gone through now.
Right.
So, and then right after that, by the way, and Rupert Murdoch's like the last stand here.
Which is bonkers. Just bonkers to say out loud and hear. Yeah. Well, I think you're right. And it's like Trump loves loyalty, obviously, but he says it's too early, obviously, to talk about it. But I'm going to talk about it because that's what he does. He's certainly doing a great job talking about JD, and he would probably be favored at this point, but he never said, he's for sure. He also mentioned Marco Rubio as someone who could maybe get together with JD in some form. And then, of course, there's always just the idea of throwing his sons at everybody. Donald Trump Jr., obviously, because he's got the name. No one likes Eric. So
nobody.
Yeah, but, this is, again, what we're dealing with in terms of who gets this movement that has been created that, for whatever reason, 30% of America still supports.
Yeah.
No matter what, right? He may be losing independence with the big, beautiful bill, things like that, but it's still a huge movement. And like you said, even charlatans, sycophants, they will cater to do whatever they have to do.
We'll see if inflation keeps going up. The inflation.
We'll see what happens with the midterms
and job numbers, and things start to change. Right now, a lot of these companies are eating the cost of the tariffs, so that's going to start
Eat the
changing.
tariffs. They're
That
good
can't
for
last
you.
forever.
Right.
So we'll see how things change coming up here.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because if Vance has to inherit all of that you just talked about, he's doomed no matter what.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hope he doesn't get in the office
in
to be
that
doomed.
case, he's like, yeah, JD can fall on my sword.
Yeah.
I'll set it up for him. Jump on there,
I
kid.
just can't see America. No one liked him when he was nominated.
I know.
None of the MAGA people were
know.
like, oh.
I was in Milwaukee covering that for LPN BTS on Patreon, and I was literally on the ground when the news broke.
Yeah.
And even Republicans were like, that guy?
Yeah.
JD Vance?
Ugh.
Like, they wanted Marco Rubio.
Yeah.
They wanted Tim Scott. They wanted anyone.
They wanted Don Bongino.
Anybody. Jeffrey Epstein, vice president.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show today. The Foreign Report LPN at gmail.com, foreignreportshow.com to sign up for our newsletter. Here's Travis's home address for you to show up. We'll post it on the screen right here.
Thank you so much. What? 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue?
What?
I didn't know I lived there. Cool.
Listen, this was a beefy one. We hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and We'll see you next week. Travis? Bye.